can use the teletype to sequence NB drumcrow. If you have a crow connected to Teletype via I2C, you can use the crow command crow C4 to trigger notes and set parameters on NB drumcrow. Additionally, you can connect Norns to crow via USB and edit parameters with the Norns param list while sequencing NB drumcrow with Teletype. To do this, first you have to upload the audio code to Crow first. You can do this by downloading the GitHub repo and then navigating to the location on your computer where the update-loop.lua file is. Once you're there, start Druid and then use update-loop.lua to upload this file, update loop, to your crow. Connect your crow via USB to your computer and then launch Druid and then upload this script to it. Then that will be on crow, and we can use the command crow C4 to test if this is working. Use crow C4 1160-100. That will trigger the note on the first output. It will trigger the MIDI note 60, and it will play the velocity value of 1. Values from Teletype to crow are integers, but there are many decimal values used to set parameters on NB drumcrow. So to get around this, there's a value that you want to set crow to, multiply it by 100, and then use that on Teletype to send it. So in this case, I want to send a velocity of 1, so I multiply by 100, and I get 100. If I wanted to send a louder velocity, say a velocity of 2, I can get something louder, or say 2. There you go. Like, it could be pretty loud. Or if I wanted to send a quieter value of 0.5, you can set it to 50. Let's keep it at 100 for now. And let's talk about crow C4. So there are 4 arguments here to this teletype operator. X selects which function that we're going to use. We have 3 functions. We have note on, which triggers a note on a selected output. We have set parameter, which will set a parameter to a value on a selected output. And we have set synth, which sets the synth model and synth shape for a selected output. The Y argument can be set 1 through 4 to select which output that we are addressing. Z and T are the 2 additional parameters used with whichever function that you have selected on the left. So note has a value range between 0 and 127, and velocity, as I've said before, you need to multiply by 100 to set that value. When setting a parameter, we select a parameter that we want to set to a value. Similarly, we would have to multiply this by 100 to set it to whatever value we want. And lastly, set synth selects the synth model, which is variable saw, noise, the byte beat, FM step, and so on. And then the synth shape, which is linear, sinusoidal, logarithmic, exponential. And you can use that to set those parameters using this function. So let's write a small script to sequence some notes on NB drumcrow. The only op we have to know is crow C4. I'm going to go to our metronome here, and let's say every 2 will trigger script 1. And then let's go to script 1, and we'll say I have a small pre-written script here. We'll toss between a value, flip a coin. If A, then set A to 12. And then we are going to trigger our first output. So crow C4. Our first argument is which function we're doing, so we're triggering a note. Which output? The first output. What's our note? We could say plus 60A. So this adds A to 60. If it's true, it'll be 0. Or if it's true, it'll be 12. If it's false, it will be 0. So we'll go between an octave between 60 and 72. And then lastly is our velocity value. We want to set that to 1, so we want to multiply by 100. Now you have this. Let's set a pattern here. And then let's step through the pattern and replace 60 with pn next 0. Let's speed up our metronome. Great. So there's a short example of how you can use Teletype to sequence NB drumcrow in a creative way. What we can do next is copy this and change the output. So instead of output 1, let's say this is 3. So now we step once for the first output, and then we step again in the pattern for the next output down. Or I should say for the third output. Let's use the second function here, setParam. So we'll use 2. Let's try and sequence the envelope time of both of our outputs here. So I'm going to go to another script for that. Let's have this at the same rate as well. So every 2 triggers script number 2. Let's go to the second script here. We'll need crow C4, like always, and let's set a parameter for output 1, and we have a bunch of parameters that we can use. In the documentation, there is a big list of all of the parameters that you have access to, which are the same parameters that you would find on using the Norns param list. The amp cycle frequency looks to be number 14. So let's use 14. And then that range goes from 0.1 to, say, 10. So if we multiply that by 100, 10 times 100 would be 1,000. So that's doing it for the first output. Let's change this to our third output as well. So now it is selecting a random envelope time for outputs 1 and 2 every 2 clocks of the metronome. Let's look at our list here. It looks like pulse width is number 4. So we can put this in here and sequence the pulse width. Pulse width goes between a range of -1 to +1, so we could do negative 100 to positive 100. Let's set that to output 3. What can we do next? How about we do every 3, let's trigger script 3. And then in script 3, let's trigger our second output of crow. So play a note, triggering output 2. And let's do a lower value, say 36 and 100. You can use the live input to set values directly. Setting a value, output 2. I want to set the note to oscillator frequency, which is 31. I'm going to set that to a value of 5 multiplied by 100. Kind of using this as a kick drum type sound. Go back to our metronome and add in maybe sequence this every 2. Let's say every 4. Let's speed up our metronome. Let's say every 2 we're going to trigger script 4. Or if we don't want to use the script, we could just write crow C4 here also. Let's trigger a note on output 4. 96, say. Hit high. Let's use our last function here, set synth, row C4. If we want to set the synth, we want to set output 4 to a noise model. Let's turn this into a snare, and we can set whatever shape we want. So let's just use the first one, linear. So the noise model needs to have the pulse width and pulse width 2 parameters set. So if we go to set a parameter, the 4th output, pulse width is number 4, and from memory I know we should set that to 0.3, so let's say 30. Next one down, I know we should set this to about 3, so 300. There we go. Sounds a bit low, so if we set this to a higher frequency, let's set the amp cycle frequency a bit shorter, say 1. Say every 3, let's trigger another script, say script 4. Let's go to script 4. What do we want to do with that? how about we trigger a kick drum to a different pitch? So the kick drum was C2, C4. Trigger note, output 2. Let's use PN next. Let's recycle that pattern that we have. Let's subtract 24 from it. Bring it to a lower octave. If you are using Teletype to sequence NB drumcrow, you can use crow C4 to set parameters and trigger notes, but you can also connect a Norns via USB and use the Norns param list to sequence, to edit values for NB drumcrow. What you want to do is take your Norns, load any script that supports NB so you can access the parameters menu. Go down to your NB voice. I've selected drumcrow 1. And then let's connect via USB. Once crow is connected, you'll hear it stop because when a crow gets connected to Norns, it will stop running the uploaded script and instead listen to commands from Norns. What we want to do is resend the audio code to crow, and that will send the audio engine to crow here, and now you can hear that it's still receiving commands from Teletype now. Let's go down to the amp cycle frequency and set this to like a lower value. There you go. So we have param behavior all, so it's setting the parameters for all 4 outputs and then receiving notes from Teletype. Let's vary the Teletype script now. How about in script 1 we delay 3 triggers. Let's say m divided by 3 to script 2. And script 2, let's trigger the second output of drumcrow here. So we'll use crow C4. And we want to trigger a note, output 2. And let's say the current value of the pattern here and velocity of 100. Say every 2, let's trigger script 3. I'm going to copy this and put this over here, but this time trigger script output 4. Can we subtract 2 octaves? We can. Instead of here, delay some triggers back to script 1. Got a feedback loop. What else can we do here? Let's trigger a different script, say script 4, and then do edit some parameters. Let's edit a parameter for output 2. Let's say we randomize the pulse width between -80 and +80. I just do every 2, we do that. Let's randomize the pulse width for the 4th output as well. Turn flock size to 2. Ah, that's right. So the flock size logic is on the Norns side as well as the trigger behavior logic. So if you adjust these, this will not respond to triggers coming from Teletype. We could use birdsong here. Let's say we set this to 67, and then set the length to these 2 steps. Then we can adjust the birdsong for all of the parameters at once.